Recently, I started a Storm King's Thunder campaign with a group of virtually new players. 3 of the players in that campaign are new players, and one of them is somebody that's been playing with me for just around 8 years. So the players in this party are an Arakocra ranger named Ares, a Ergensai named Abi, she is a bard, Eris Imberheart, the green dragonborn monk, and Nimira Ostrokoth, the Feyre bard. So, to point out what these characters are, for those of you who don't know, the Arakocra is kind of like a bird person. If you watch some other videos online, there are other people that talk about these races, and of course, the rest of them are fairly straightforward. If you know what an Ergensai is, it's basically half elemental, and then as far as the Feyre go, they are a infernal touched elf race that has a huge history, and they're definitely worth looking into. That's something that I might be able to go over in another video at some point. But what I wanted to talk about today was whenever this party came together, playing Storm King's Thunder. So, for those of you who have played Storm King's Thunder, you know that the beginning town is Nightstone. You end up coming down the high road and taking the road to Nightstone, where you then find that the city of Nightstone has come under attack. Now, in the city of Nightstone, you end up having several encounters with goblins and a pair of wargs in the town square. Now, whenever you run into these wargs, you find that the wargs themselves are actually playing with a dead dog. As you're coming into town, you can also hear an unsufferable chiming coming from the church. So, this party, whenever they came into town, the first thing that they did was the Arakocra went into the air. They can fly 50 feet, so he took flight and was kind of keeping an eye on these creatures that I described as large, feral, wolf-like creatures, and he decided that he wanted to attack one of them. So his first roll was a pretty good amount of damage, and he definitely got their attention. So whenever these 2 wargs came into contact with the party, one of these wargs was already actually fairly damaged. He was able to get off one attack and then a second attack. And so the wargs run up to the party, start initiative. The Arakocra starts first. Ares decides that he is going to shoot the same warg that he did last time. Next in line was our dragonborn monk, Eris, who decided that he was just going to use his breath weapon, which is a poison cloud. The interesting part of this opening combat of the adventure is whenever it comes around to Abi's turn. So the rest of these 3 players are all 3 new players. It was their first D&D game. And Nim, whose player is Kyreus, she's been playing in my games for probably about 8 years, so she kind of stepped back, and even though she's already ran in Storm King's Thunder and done, some parts of it, she doesn't really want to spoil anything, and she doesn't want to jump forward in metagame, so she was kind of letting them do their thing. And what ended up happening was Abi, the Ergensai, jumped forward and decided that she was going to try and ride one of the wargs. So the interesting part about that is that she just kind of was like, oh my god, puppy, and she was super happy about it. She wanted to ride this warg so bad. It was like, as soon as she saw this thing, her life's goal suddenly shifted from whatever successful career she had, whatever plans for college she might have, whatever, anything in her life that she might have going on, that all flew right out the window, because she went, all I want to do is ride this warg. I want this to be my mount. Please allow this to happen. So whenever we start combat, she goes, can I ride the puppy? And as a DM, I have kind of a typical rule. I go, if I think that something is possible, I look at the person and I go, you can certainly try. And so whenever she heard those words, she immediately perked up and was like, yes, we can do this. And so she goes around the combat and gets to the rear warg and immediately starts rolling animal handling checks to see if she can keep this warg from attacking her party. So what ends up happening is you have this, combat between characters in a warg on the front line, and then she just kind of sneaks behind the enemy line and starts trying to tame this warg. So the warg itself actually ends up just kind of crumbling. It's almost like he goes, oh man, she is such a nice person, and I don't know how I could ever attack her, and immediately just crumbles to her and just goes, oh yeah, I definitely like getting scratched behind the ear. This is fantastic. Well, as this is going on, his companion, the warg that is attacking Eris, the dragonborn monk, is just kind of standing there in front of him, and we went through a round of combat, and then Ares decides that he is going to attack the warg in front. He wants to, kind of help her get this pet. So I'm like, okay, cool. And then the next thing I know, Ares is like, yeah, I'm going to attack the warg in front and hopefully I can do enough damage. He rolls, gets the kill, and I look at, I'm just sitting there and I'm like, okay, Ares, so you did enough damage to kill this warg. How do you want to do this? And yeah, I know I kind of ripped that straight from Critical Role, but I find that is something that is really interesting for the party. Whenever I started doing that, even my veteran players started getting a little bit more invested in what they were going to do whenever they were finishing off a creature. And so Ares tries to kind of explain to me what he would like to do, and then I explain it as he folds his wings in, drops as he draws his 2 short swords, lands upon the creature, digging a blade into either side of its neck, and twisting. Eris, you find the head of the warg lop to your feet. And then the only thing that these 2 members of the party could say was, they look at themselves and go, great, now we're covered in blood. And then Eris goes, is this going to mutate me? Am I going to grow hair? Unfortunately, Eris, no, you're not going to grow hair. But on the other side of that, your party member Abi now has a mount. So, yeah, there's that for you. The best part is that she did decide that she was going to name her mount, and the mount's name is Thor. Hi everybody, welcome to the end card. So this is where I would ask you to subscribe if you liked the video, or subscribe if you didn't like the video. And as you can see, the picture in this one is actually a picture of Abi, our Air Gensai. So if you want to hear the next part of the story, please stick around.